know, and welcome to Think Tank. You know, if it's Thursday at 1 o'clock Central Time, it is Think Tank with Trainertainment, and I could not be more excited than to share my dear, dear friend Adam Melrose with you today. I knew Adam when he was like a baby. He's still, you can look at him, he's still a baby face, but he was like, I don't know, Adam, 22 or something really young. I was, and I think that his youth stood out to me so much because his wisdom and maturity and enthusiasm and the way he helped grow Bowling Music Network was just incredible. I don't think that there are very many people in the bowling community, and I know it's Control Play today, so you guys have expanded way out into the big world of not even just family entertainment, but restaurants, and I mean all over the place, right, Adam? And you did that, man. And I know you didn't single-handedly do anything, but I know that the way you took this company from where it was when I first started Trainertainment to today is just incredible. And then isn't today wild, right? So
understatement of the call so far.
Yeah, we were just talking about that it's almost like we're with everybody else in rebuild mode. So today your official title is Chief Playlist Officer, but you are Chief Everything right now, correct? Tell us what you're doing today.
Yeah, it's been through all of this, as was everyone having to rethink their companies and structures and how they operate and figuring out what now normal is.
Yeah.
As of right now. And it was one of these things where we were able to successfully, the company's almost 16 years old, and we were able to grow, and our staff's been huge, and then we've contracted and been huge, and there's always some rethinking, and I think everybody's business is like that. But where we are right now is due to the we're a monthly subscription thing and business rather, and unfortunately there's still a lot of places that can't operate
that
right
aren't
now.
open. Sure.
Yeah, so had to do a little bit of rethinking, a little restructure, and retooling of the staff. And I've always been a guy in the trenches. It was one of these. Hey, here's what we need to do to survive, so that once one day down the road again, we'll be able to bring back and grow our staff and everything like that. So we still have some very key people in the business that know how to turn all the right, flip all the switches and turn all the screws. And then a few support folks that are, the ones that keep the thing going. So my team of 8 is now really a team of 2.5, or I guess 3, because I have a production guy with me. So yeah, I've been working in sales again. I've been working on our playlist team, and then working on producing audio clips and just doing what we need to do to all band together and get through this. It's been tough, but we make it work.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just like all of us, right? And I gotta say, right out of the gate, and I should have said this as we started, we want to thank Bowling Music Network and Simnox and Redemption Plus. All 3 of you guys are our digital sponsors. What that means is you're our webinar sponsors. I remember 2 webinars ago, you saved me completely. My technology blew up in the middle of the webinar, and you were able to seamlessly take over. I think we were talking about sales. That's a key topic of yours, isn't it? But it's so interesting, and that's about experience, right? You jumped right in and seamlessly helped maneuver that particular experience, and we've been partners. Our companies have been partners. We just started our 16th year in May. We're a full 15 years old, so we are very connected in timing and in growth in the industry. I had a lot of background in the bowling industry, and I'll never forget, it seems like I think you showed up to an early seminar and yanked on your owner and said, I don't know who that is, but we gotta do whatever they're doing, and like we were fast friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you find people on those same wavelengths, and the wavelength we travel on is a crazy one. But somehow we're maneuvering it at a perfect level. And I remember it was one of those early on in, when we would go to, Bowl Expo and IAPA and all these shows, what I understood right out of the gates is that, we need to help as many people, find what they need and sell that to them. And I didn't want to go into this industry blind. So when I go to Bowl Expo, a lot of people be sitting poolside and setting their booth up, but I would spend those 2 days going to the seminars because I needed to understand, what was being presented to the industry so that I could, when we're talking to people at the show, I could say, hey, did you see that Kerry Tisello thing the other day? And he was talking about this, and this. And did you go to Beth's thing? Because everybody was at yours. They'd always be like just ramming in extra chairs. And I'd love to be able to say, when Beth was talking guest experience, and there needs to be this consistent executable where, every birthday party, it's like, hey, a hamburger, a Big Mac in Seattle versus Miami needs to taste the same. Every birthday party should have that same flavor. And I remember sitting in, like, my eyes were like this the entire time you were talking the first time, because I'm like, wow, like everything you're talking. Yeah, well, I was able to be awake for 24 hours at a time. Then that's not the case anymore. But I think that was it. And it was in the early days of bowling music. It was, okay, where are the struggles? Because the music piece was easy. There, people were paying DJs 9 times a month, and it was that was a big expense, and we were able to really standardize that and offer a better solution, a very controllable solution, and very appropriate solution at that point for the the glow piece. But then it was looking at it, and the wonderful thing about bowling is, for the most part, for about 30 to 32 weeks out of the year, maybe 35, what the schedule is. We've got seniors from 9 to noon, we got ladies from noon to 3, we got the after school, we got the men's league, then we got the quartermania later on. And it was like everything started lining up, and we're thinking, wow, like if we're creating this cool piece for Friday night, well, then how do we make Ladies League an event and make sure that the music is right and that they're on the approach and they're having a killer time? And I think that was so much of what we were, I was taking from your seminars and all these other seminars at Bowl Expo, and thinking, like, how do we translate this back to Bowling Music Network? And that's how it grew. And because we went, you and I did the same circus, it was like 18 shows a year.
Every state meeting, we learned to play Mississippi stud together, and blackjack, and all those important things that
of course, because that's what some of the best networking is done in the casino.
Well, it is.
Yeah, if we can all lose money together and be happy, then life is good.
It is, and then we're fast friends forever because we have that in common. Well, that's interesting. I love what you're saying about the fact that you guys learned early on that who you meant to be in the world was this experience creator in a way, right? And I'm telling you, music does make everything better. It does. Whether I'm on a walk or jumping in my car, sometimes I like to just go places because I turn on my satellite 70s radio. You know how much I like my 70s
of
music.
Course.
And it's crazy how that experience with music makes such a big difference. And I'm really struggling with where we are today, right? That all the conversation is surrounding sanitation and cleanliness. Like, I know we have to build the consumer confidence. I'm not very confident in the United States right now. You Canadians have got that figured out, and y'all just complying complicit Canadians or something. I don't know. We'll give you a title there, but we're crazy. We're crazy. I'm just gonna go on record. We're crazy, and we can't make up our mind. We all want the same things. We all want the same result, but we cannot agree how to get there. And so it's more complicated. And so just building consumer confidence so that people will come in the door and gather is rough. And I think that our total focus keeps being on we're clean and we're safe and la, 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 when really they've never come to us because we were clean and safe. They expected us to be clean and safe. They came to us because they were going to have a good time. And my goodness, we need to have a good time right now. We need to be able to enjoy ourselves. What has been your focus, and what are your thoughts about experience, and what are y'all doing like right now to try to help build that?
Yeah, I think, and you nailed it. There's this certain level of minimum expectations we all have when we go to any business. You know, if I'm going to go to the gas station, I understand I'm going to pull up, I'm going to get out, I'm going to put gas in my car, I'm going to go pay them, I get a bag of chips, and then I'm gone, right? Or 2 bags of chips, whatever.
I get it, and a Heath bar. So
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
and a diet soft
Yeah.
drink. Okay.
But what's changed now is now I gotta go. Okay, do I have to put a mask on? Do I have to put gloves on? Do I need to have they sanitize this thing? Okay, maybe I'll just hold it with my sleeve, and then I'm gonna go in. You know, and there's so much more that's added to that.
Yes.
And I think, but what doesn't help is when that staff member in the gas station is now just like, please don't touch anything, just touch the things you want to buy. You know, and it's just they're adding this level of stress where it's just like, hey man, like I washed my hands on the way in, and I'm getting a chocolate bar, and I'm going to pay you money, and I'm going to leave. You know, we're just as simple as a coffee shop across from our office the other day. I went to grab a couple of coffees and a few things, and on my expectations there was to go in, I'm going to order my coffee, I'm going to get a little snack, and then I'm going to leave. And everybody, one guy came in the wrong entrance, and all 6 ladies working at the coffee shop dropped everything they were doing to yell at this guy, and he just left. He didn't even want to. He got in his car and went home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the space of a bowling center is, what do we expect? I'm me going to the coffee shop, I'm expecting to get coffee. But when I'm going bowling with my kids, I'm going to expect to probably spend $100 to $200 or whatever that's going to look like today. We're going to eat, we're going to have fun, we're going to have some drinks, and we're probably going to bowl. And if they have other attractions, we're very likely going to do that because my kids are on the lanes for an hour looking at that and going, oh, I want to do that when we're done. Yep. So what's I think the biggest thing people can do right now is understand that everybody entering your entertainment space, they're just looking for that experience they used to have at your entertainment experience. So figure out how to get them through all the politics of the cleanliness. They know your place is clean. You know, I think it was Nancy Schenk put a great quote up a couple of months ago that before COVID, the bowling industry was the biggest consumer of Lysol disinfectant products in the world. Yeah, you know, everybody jokes about the spraying of the shoes. Yeah, the place is covered in that stuff, right? So, so I think for in a bowling or FEC or whatever, if you run a high ropes course, it's get them in, get through the rules real quick. Hey, everybody got their masks on. We got our hands up, gloves up, whatever, and then make that fun. Make that an experience, you know. And I've seen all these cool masks that have like clown faces on them. And why not have those for $1 a piece at your FEC on the way in, right? Where you can just immediately, what do we have here? Yeah, I love it, right? And there's, of course, there's companies right now capitalizing on making custom masks. So can that be a part of the experience? And then just get them down to the lanes and get back to it. And I think everybody's so worried that they're going to screw up the rules or the laws and, we all need to walk this way and just figure it out and just have a breath for a second, right? And I think with a lot of the employees now, they're back to work. They're maybe a little upset. They were on unemployment for a couple of months, but they were still getting some money. And now it's like, can you just love your job so that me and my kids can have a really good time over here and not be so stressed out over the rules of this and just give me that experience I'm looking for. I'm going to bowl. I'm going to have a really good time. And, you know, so let's take it back to music now. So if I walk in and it's dead silent, and I get read my Miranda rights about wearing a mask and cleaning my hands and everything, and I go down to the lanes, and all I can hear is the pin machines, and somebody taking a call back improperly taking a sales call back at the counter, you know. But if I walk in and the tunes are going, and I'm immediately, you've now placed me back in bowling mode or my FEC mode, and I'm happy. And my kids are like, they're dancing already, and they're like, oh, I can't wait to bowl. I'm gonna get my shoes. And if we get down to the lanes and it's just, if that can be, so the grand experience of coming into the center is one thing. Now make my COVID-19 experience from getting from the service counter to the lanes fun. How could we do we dance on the way there? Do we do something? I know that's not in everybody's fiber, but can we make that work?
Me and you could.
Oh, 100%.
You and I could do that, 100%.
Yeah. And why not? If you've got, because I'm assuming birthday party packages bookings are probably way down, but you've got those awesome kids who are your party hosts or hostesses that if you have to raise your prices up a little bit, can you bring them in a bit more and have like a, almost like a porter to be taking people down to the lanes, and, a valet to get you to the lanes, to just make it fun. At the beginning of all this, people were calling all the time and just saying, Adam, we just need a feel-good playlist where people can just, it just needs to be happy music always in my bowling center right now. Like this so we created a playlist literally just called Feeling Good. And it was I need
that. I need that list.
I'll send you a copy. I'll definitely send you a copy.
That list.
90% of our subscribers were using that for like 2 straight months. Like that was the playlist everybody went to. It was at the top of the player. And it was just good, feel good Motown and country and pop and hits and everything. It was just, we have tags on all of our songs, and happy is one of them. So it was literally songs from these categories that have the happy tag. And it was just people just saying, this playlist is awesome. Like, please don't take this away. Like when COVID's over, we want this on our player. And
you want the happy list.
Yeah, that's it, right? Because it's like, listen, I've been broke for 3 months. I've finally had enough to take my babies out to go bowling. Yeah. And I just want to have a good time. Can we? Yeah. So that the Feeling Good playlist works. And I think the people that are doing it right are really looking at their processes and just understanding that they need to have a great time. And especially because right now money's at an all-time low for these, types of excursions.
Yeah.
So I
think
so
it better be valuable.
100%.
If they've made the choice, if they made the choice to go out, in some instances, it may literally, if they live with elderly grandparents or immune compromised folks, they've made a life and death choice about coming to you. And I think our people that work for us need to understand that. And so with that in mind, how kind can you be? How fun can you be? How engaged can you be? I wish we wouldn't call it social distancing, because I think that interrupts the whole feel of entertainment. It's physical distancing. We just need to not get in each other's faces.
Exactly. Yeah.
We can still be together. And I think that that's been a compromise in language.
Yeah.
And so, I love that. So get a happy list. Use hosts and hostesses who understand that entertainment feel.
Yep.
And quit making the rules more important than the experience.
Exactly, right. And I think and when it comes down to it, your internal customers your staff have to be having a great time.
Yes.
I love Andrew, who works closely with me. He and I were at Nacho Daddy in Vegas, which is just around the back of, there's a couple of them in Vegas, but it's right behind the Planet Hollywood.
How do I not know about Nacho Daddy?
We'll go next time. We're actually allowed to be in Vegas together, and we can get away from that.
When you can come back across the border.
Exactly. It's a great restaurant. The food's fantastic. And what I loved about it the first time, when we go traveling, we always go into as many of our customer locations kind of incognito, just to see what's going on. And Nacho Daddy was one of the first ones we went to in Vegas where, we always like to ask, oh, this music's really good. Where do you get it from? And most places are like, I don't know, some computer in the back. They don't care. The Nacho Daddy staff had access to 3 times an hour in our template. They had their own like staff folder that it pulled from. So 3 times an hour, it was a song from one of the cooks or the servers or the bartenders.
Wow.
And man, were they having a killer time. Like Andrew and I are sitting there eating a couple of burritos and having some margaritas and doing what you do in a Mexican place. And the energy in this place was so good because right from the cooks in the back room, they have a big open like show kitchen, to the servers, to the bartenders, everybody's hollering, they're pointing at each other, and like they're all singing along. And I'm thinking like, this is insane. And
awesome.
And we asked them like, hey, where do you guys get your music? And they're like, oh, it's Control Play. It's the best thing ever. Right? And like Andrew and I are just
I bet.
Yeah. And then of course open up the shirt. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm wearing, right? So that was it. And so the easiest way to get the staff together and get them on the same page and get them excited was something we had worked out with their management, to just say, hey, listen, the staff are going to fight you. They're going to want to put their own music on, guaranteed, right? So you can say, hey, we want 90% this, but that other 10% of the hour, 30% of the hour, whatever it looks like, let's just build this cool list that the staff can have control over. And now they are invested in that experience because they're thinking like, oh, I love that song, but sound good at work, right? And they're picking these fun and exciting tunes. And you could tell when their songs came up, because it was about every third song or fourth song, and the kitchen would erupt. And, and then when they found out we were the Control Play guys, man, the amount of free food like coming to our table started just coming right out the kitchen. Like the one guy brought us some brand new, he's like, hey, these tortilla shells are literally right off the oven, man. Like, just get rid of these ones. I'm gonna give you the fresh ones. And it was great. But so what is that? Like, how do you recreate that in your business? And sometimes that's as simple. We do this with a lot of bowling centers and FECs, and that is allow your staff, everybody's a DJ and everybody wants to put their music on because they have the best choice. Unfortunately, their choice is not usually on brand with what you're doing in your business. So why not, though? If you're doing a monthly huddle or a team meeting, allow your staff to get involved. And like with something like our software, we can say, hey, let's pick the top 40 for the whole staff. And then based on time of day and rating and all this other good stuff, we'll just make sure that stuff's making its way into the playlist. But we do need to stay on brand with, it's an FEC. We need to stay, like, our mom approved playlist needs to be playing. And then the songs you pick, hey guys, unfortunately they got to be mom approved, right? But for 10 o'clock at night, let it play. Doesn't matter, right? Babies are gone home. The adults are playing at this point, and we could do that. And it's amazing just allowing that to happen is huge. And if all of a sudden, bowling center, 40 lanes, you got one staff member down here, the other one's at the far end, and if they can look at each other and they're excited about it, their shift, exactly, and they're dancing, you got the back behind the service counter, and everybody's having a good time. Nailed it, right? Because if we're walking in, we expect fun, we now see fun, you're fun, and we're gonna have fun while we're in this space.
It's absolutely contagious. That kind of, the best word you use there in my mind is energy. That's what we're looking for. Energy creates experience. I'm making myself a note. That's a really, really good blog title. You probably already have that written. Energy creates. Would you send that to me? I'll publish it. How's that?
I think I did a piece a while ago. It was like motion creates emotion or something like this.
Oh yeah, that is a good one. You do need to send that to me. I'll republish it on my newsletter.
Absolutely.
I love that.
But it's true. Yeah. If we're sitting there behind the counter and, well, what do you want? What are you gonna have? Do you guys want a burger later? Like, it's not. Forget it. And I understand not everyone is wired the way you and I are, right? And most party hostesses, and I know we talked years ago about some of the best people to go and recruit as party hosts and hostesses are the band kids and the drama kids from the high school, because they're ready. They are so ready, like especially marching band kids. They're so ready to put a show on. Yeah, they're addicted to performance. My son is heading into grade 12 right now. He's in
what?
It's crazy, right?
That doesn't seem possible.
I know. What is possible is the post-secondary I'm going to have to pay for in 12 months. So.
that's there you go. Yeah, that'll be about 10 years to get them all through, I remember when our kids finished up finally, and I finished my degree as well when they went, and I was like, all right, this was 10 years of a gigantic household payroll. Wow, we're going to have a couple of dollars to rub together.
Yeah, exactly.
So 10 years of not being all your money going to university.
Absolutely. But he was, my son came to me and said, Dad, like, I really want to find a job. And all my buddies are working at Subway and McDonald's. And I said, there's a bowling center called Neb's Fun World that's in Oshawa, which is the town next to yours. I said, I know they have huge birthday business. I said, just go and apply. And like, he got a job within minutes just because of his energy when he got in there. And he just understood how to just have fun with it. But that's from his drama background. And I think it's, being able to, I remember doing at was it Fun Haven in Ottawa?
Yeah. You did our auditions.
I did do the auditions there. And it was there was those quick fire questions that I think are huge. And I'm hoping that anybody who's listening to this right now, if you don't know about the, onboarding that and the audition process True Entertainment does, it's awesome. And it's a really cool way to weed out the people who just don't fit,
that they can't do it, that they might could be back at the house, but if they're customer facing, they ought to be able to make it through an audition.
Absolutely. I'll never forget, there's one lady came up and I'm just like, okay, if you were a superhero, who would you be? And she just looks at me, she goes, I'm an accountant. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to take you right over to the owner. And but then and then
bookkeeper.
Yeah, exactly. And I think she still works there today. But then you would see the crowds and you'd see the overly bubbly kids. You're like, okay, you're getting a job for sure. And then what blew my mind was the quiet ones that were in the back. that as soon as I would watch the kids in line, and they were looking ahead and just seeing what people were doing over at the little tables. And the more animated people got in line and the more animated people got in front of me and the other people doing the auditions, you'd see them just get a little more comfortable, and the shoulders would open up, and then they'd come to the table and absolutely light it on fire.
Yeah.
And I think and that energy was infectious in that space. And we were just, it was the FEC in dust. There was plastic around, and there was workers going on, and we should have probably had dust masks on. It was so bad in there, and like I'm wiping tables off to like be able to write on paper, but it was super fun. And if you're able to turn that energy on in that space, then you should be able to do it when this place is hopping and the tunes are going and the lights are going.
Music's going and absolutely. Well, that's awesome. So energy, that's the word of the day for me, Adam. I love it. This is you and I could do Think Tank all day.
Yeah.
And we could go on forever and ever. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing this with me, and I know it's going to be helpful to all the folks that we're streaming live here to Facebook. And so if there's any questions that you have for Adam, you can reach him at adam.melrose@controlplay.com. Did I get that right?
Yep, or at bowlingmusic.com or at fecmusic.com.
Any of those. And it's just wonderful. You'll have to come back. We're gonna get out of this COVID crisis, and we'll have lots more important things to think about as we move through. And we've got important things to think about now too. And so I appreciate you spending your energy and your time today. But I cannot let you go before I ask you the signature Think Tank question, Adam. Are you ready?
Yes.
So you know that we're absolutely obsessed at Trainertainment about growing people. We think that's a direct way to grow business, and we're totally invested in that. And so to that end, we always want to know what our Think Tank superstars do on a consistent basis to help yourself grow, and even to help others. Because I know, Adam, you have been invested over the years. I've watched you take lots of people under your wing and help them grow. So what do you do for you, and what do you do for others to intentionally grow?
That's a super, super loaded question. I love it. I think one of the biggest things I like to do on that topic is I think we all do, but I get tons of calls every week for people asking for, $10 to support this charity. And you can't go to the grocery store now without asking, like, do you want to, scan $1 to scan away hunger or whatever? And you have no idea where that money's going. I think my favorite thing to do there is I'll ask every single one of those folks, I won't give you any money, but I will give you my time. And because I happen to know there's a lot of, fundraising efforts out there that have CEOs that make $125,000 a year that I don't feel like being a part of that person's annual payroll. But I have no problem showing up and helping build that house you guys are, asking for money for. And I have no problem showing up and helping run a 5K run or something like that, or I'll participate, because I'd much rather go and be able to find someone who needs help at that event and help them grow as a person by teaching them what they need to know or helping them with that event. And then, and being able to say, like, hey, listen, now go and teach somebody this, so that I can take what I've learned from somebody else, because I didn't make this up, and be able to just, help them grow as a person by bettering a skill or a choice they've made. And that translates into, I coach football. I've been coaching youth football now for a decade. And it's the same thing there. That's, a lot of people think you're just the coach that shows up for the 2 hours at the game, and then you run practice for an hour. And no, that's before work. I'm, sitting at home watching game film, from weeks before, drinking my coffee, eating my breakfast, and then we go to practice, and you have to prepare for practice for an hour. And my favorite thing is absolutely coaching football, because especially you get kids from all walks, and being that it's such a cool sport that, there's a spot for everyone on the team. You got the big boys on the line, you get, and the fast kids, receivers and things like this, but everybody gets to play, and we're all working together as like this one unit to win, or to at least get better. And what I love about that sport is the small bit of effort that you can put in to some of these kids, and just showing them to just move their foot this way, And then they come back after a game. They're like, "Oh my God, coach, like that so worked." And I'm like, I know. I wouldn't lie to you about this. Like so it's giving them the tools to succeed. And, we deal with, unfortunately, a lot of boys on our team that there isn't a very positive male role model at home, or there's no male role model at home at all. And they're troubled kids. And, getting that letter from a teacher or a parent after a season and saying, like, I can't believe the life change that my kids had in the last, 6 months, that now they're doing well in school and they're paying attention, because we make them bring their grades to practice and make sure. So I think that experience,
gratifying.
It is, yeah. And it's like, okay, I could be sitting at home watching the game, drinking a beer or something like that, or I can go and teach this sport. And then the other coaching I do is with a lot of girls soccer teams in the area as well. I used to run a football camp that one of the moms on my daughter's soccer team said, "Hey, how do you translate that to soccer?" And I said, "Well, we do a lot of hitting in football." And they're like, "Well, there's a lot of hitting in soccer, but it's a little cleaner." And what was really cool about it was I run this camp called Hustle Hard Training Camp, and usually it's just an hour a night, a couple nights a week, and kids come and they just put a whole bunch of work in in the off season especially. And we were able to take this sort of intense football-esque training to this girls' soccer team, and they were getting just ran over by other teams. And you don't have to be, you're not throwing elbows or anything, but it's just how to stand your ground and how to be aggressive to the ball and things like this. And their coaches were not, they just didn't have that wiring. So I show up as this almost drill sergeant to work these girls through it. And there was a lot of timid girls on the team because they're taught not to hit and not to, And I'll never forget, I worked with them on a Tuesday and a Thursday. They had a game on a Saturday against their longtime rival, and they always get beat by them. And I was just showing them, bringing the football, like the hand shields and all this, and just teaching them to just rub in and kind of body in and how to stand your ground and, plant your foot in your shoulder at the same time kind of thing. And I called their coach on the Sunday morning and I said, "Hey, how'd the game go?" He's like, "Oh, 4 girls got yellow cards." And I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of bad." He goes, No, it was the best they've ever played. Right. So then the girls started, requesting that, Coach Adam came back to work with them again. And a lot of them have turned. I know a bunch of them have actually been able to turn those into scholarships. So it's just exciting to be able to go and volunteer that time and put the work in, and then just see, especially these young kids, really succeed as they grow. And some of these football kids now I've coached for 8 years. They're 15 now, and I've been coaching them since they were 7. And it's amazing to see the growth in their athleticism and just themselves as people, right down to, when we go to play other cities, people saying your kids are really, really well behaved and they play very well. And I'm like, well, that's the result of 8 years and these 15 coaches that I work with that have just brought these kids up to where they're at. So I think
that's awesome.
It
sounds like you get an awful lot out of that yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm missing it like crazy. We in Canada, we have a fall and a spring season for football. And because I know we're not allowed to play, in the States, you can play a 16 game regular season, where we're not allowed to, max you could play 12 games in a season. So we split it up and go spring and fall, but we had no spring football, which was crazy. And we had no fall football. They're going to allow us to play flag, which is great for developing receivers and defensive backs, but not so much the line kids, right? So now the line kids are out of a sport for another season. So it's, it is what it is, and we'll get through it. But I've been really, really missing football. But mind you, the list of 40 things I needed to do around the house that my lovely wife put together is all now done. So now I have no football and nothing to do around the house. So all those the Zig Ziglar round to it's. I don't need them anymore.
You got them done. What's the last book you read?
I actually read a biography. I forget the name of it, but it's the Keith Richards biography I just read.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
And I did not do the shameless plug for my book, but you were one of the early adopters. You bought one of the very first copies. Did you read People Buy From People?
Oh, 100%. And we were chatting a couple of weeks after I got it, because I wasn't at Bull Expo that year, but I had purchased it and it was brought back to me by one of the staff. And I think the overall tone of the book was lovely. And I was sitting in my backyard reading most of it. And
that's right.
I think I joked.
Yeah.
And I said, the thing I love about this the most is I felt like you were just reading me a story for 4 hours or whatever it was, and, but it was so true. And I think everything, when you touch on people needing to just be human beings with one another. You don't have to hammer down on something. Find out what they need.
Right.
Ask them questions. Just be cordial. And I think so many people, having trained a lot of salespeople in the last over a decade, everybody just wants to come and, hey, do you want to buy a watch? Do you want to buy a watch? Do you want to buy a watch? And that guy might already have 3 watches on his wrist, man. Like, have a look first. Understand what they need. Right?
Yeah.
So, and I think you've been able to, you broke it down so nicely in that book for anybody who just has basic information or needs to grow on it, or people who have been selling for years. You could still get something from it. Every day is a school day.
Yeah.
And it was a great read. I think I gave it to one of the salespeople to read that were on our team recently, and I don't know that I got it back, so I'm gonna have to reach out to them actually.
get your signed copy back. So
exactly.
Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much. I learned a lot today, Adam, from our chat, and I'm gonna focus on energy. I love it that you're working with young women and girls, teaching them to stand their ground. I think that is a message that our gender needs. And I learned so much, and I love you. I love visiting with you. This was awesome.
Absolutely. Well, I'm happy to come back anytime.
Good. And thank you to the company, to your brand. Appreciate Bowling Music, Redemption Plus, and Simnox for being our digital sponsors. And so until next Thursday, we'll see you at ThinkTank.